Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Day and welcome to part 3 of this 5-part video series on cloud storage. In this video, I'm going to be talking about business share drives. What are they and why should you think about upgrading to them in your business? In the first video, I just introduced the whole concept of cloud storage. In the second video, I talked about protecting your data to make sure you own it, that people can't delete it maliciously or otherwise. In this presentation, I'm going to talk specifically about shared drives. In the next presentation, I'll do a quick comparison of iCloud, Microsoft, Google, and Dropbox. And lastly, I'm going to talk about what I recommend you go for based on what you're currently using or our recommended setup if you're not currently using cloud storage. So, business shared drives. In this presentation, I'll introduce shared drives, explain what they are, how they work, and a hack to save you money, meaning you only really need one license, no matter how many staff you have in your company. So you might remember this slide from the previous presentation where I introduced shared drives. With shared drives, the transfer of ownership of any documents created in that shared drive is automatic. You don't have to think about it, and you also have total control over who can do what with that information. That is what the power of shared drives is, and this is true for shared drives in Google, SharePoint in Microsoft, and Dropbox for Business. There may be other suppliers that do this as well, but these are 3 that I'm familiar with. So the advantages of shared drives. It doesn't matter which one you're using, but the point is that when you set up a shared drive, that you as the admin to that shared drive has total control. You own everything in it from the moment it's put in there. You can even limit what people can delete, even if they've created it themselves. So if somebody creates documents, add them to a shared drive, you can stop them being able to delete those files. And if anybody does delete them, you can simply undelete them and recover them really easily from your own recycle bin. It's a really, really simple and effective way to protect yourself. If one person leaves the company, it makes no difference. The files are owned by the shared drive, nothing goes with them. If the other person leaves the company, exactly the same situation. And as soon as somebody joins the company again, you give them access to the shared drive and they can access everything that you want them to. Another advantage of using shared drives is you can use the concept of free company accounts, which I touched on in the previous presentation, to keep the costs down massively. So just as a reminder, a free company account, whether you're in Google or in Microsoft, is just a gmail.com account or an outlook.com account. And if you use LastPass, you can easily share this with an employee when they leave. You simply switch off access, and then when a new person starts, you switch on access in LastPass. As I said, it's good to change the passwords anyway, but LastPass just makes it super convenient, openly share passwords across the internet. So using the concept of free accounts, the great advantage of shared drives is that your staff, your guests, or anyone that you want access to data, they can actually have free accounts and access documents, edit them, you can give them permissions, you can make sure they can't delete stuff, that you can only view stuff, they can edit it, whatever you want. The power that you want to give them is in your control because you're the admin, you're the owner of that shared drive. But here, in contrast to using G Suite and having a license for everybody, you only need one licensed account with a shared drive. And at the moment, it costs about 10 quid for a shared drive. And then you can have as many guest users as you want. This can keep the cost down massively. You'll see here I've said that admin and others are licensed. Others means anybody that you want to have admin rights over your drives. So in our company, we have an operations manager and she actually manages who has access to all of our shared drives. So she needs to have a license so she can actually administer the drives. And also if you're working with graphic designers or video editors, it's useful for them to have a license because then it can use the additional services which allow them to automatically sync their local drive and their shared drive to their computer. This means that they can, in the background, be uploading their videos and uploading their images without having to manually upload things. It happens in the background. It's much quicker, much more convenient. And it means that when people are working on stuff, you've always got the latest version saved. You're not waiting for them to finish something and then put it into your drive. Because if they leave halfway through a contract, then you're going to lose that if it's not synced. So in those examples, we always recommend you actually get a license so they can back things up in the background. So you end up having 1, 2, maybe 3 licenses, really, no matter how big your company is. The only other reason that I'd give someone a license is if I want them to be able to email from a company account. So if I want them to be able to send an email that's from jane@mycompany.com, they would have to have a license for that reason. But the number of licenses is far reduced. So even though the cost of a single license for a shared drive is higher, if you're then having your staff using free accounts, so Outlook or Gmail, the overall cost of ownership is much, much lower. So just as a summary, in this presentation, I introduced shared drives, talked about the advantages and also that important cost-saving hack. In the next presentation, I'm going to quickly go over iCloud, Microsoft, Google, and Dropbox, recap what I've already said in the previous lectures, and just cover those in a bit more detail so you understand the differences, the costs involved, and then you can make an informed decision. In the last lecture, I'll be talking about what we recommend.